You know, often I see posts on social media about how Little Kim was always beautiful, she never needed to change her face, but it goes deeper than that. Let's talk about it.
It's like when Missy uses she's a bitch. And actually, I took it as that bitch. Like, that bitch is hot. If it wasn't for Tony,
oh. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for tuning back in. I'm back with another video, and this is a video about Little Kim. I've been wanting to do for a while, but I put it off because I assumed people was going to take it the wrong way with the title and the thumbnail, basically alluding that it was going to be a video making fun of her surgeries and everything. But if you look at this whole video, right, disclaimer, this is more of a backstory. It's more of a deep dive into Little Kim's career, but mostly what led to the different surgeries and why her face changed so many times, and how, if y'all notice, anybody that's been on social media over the last few years, maybe even the last few months, you'll see posts about Little Kim randomly where people will be like, she was so beautiful, why did she change her face? She should have stopped at this face, she should have stopped at that face. Another thing I noticed is, this is something I see with Michael Jackson too. Let me know if y'all want to see a video about Michael Jackson. If one was to look at Little Kim in Google Images, you'll see over the last 25 years per se, there's been a drastic change in her physical appearance, you know, facially, you know, her body. And this is not a video to break down every surgery or every cosmetic alteration that she's had, but this is the story behind it. You know, because a lot of people are so quick to look at a picture on Instagram or Twitter and be like, oh, she was beautiful, why did she change her face? She looks crazy now. Oh, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people are quick to judge, but they don't do the research behind into why Little Kim has changed so much over the last 2 decades. From the 90s to early 2000s seem to be the glory days in terms of her physical appearance, especially when you look at the pictures posted on social media to represent when Little Kim was so beautiful. This was a time period where she may have wore colored eye contacts, but there were no obvious changes to her facial appearance or skin tone. Now, most people watching this should know the story of Little Kim, but just to give a quick breakdown, Kimberly Denise Jones was from New York, born in New York. In around the mid-90s, she got into rapping. She met Biggie. Everybody knows Biggie. And he put her in his crew, Junior Mafia. She was the only female rapper, only woman artist in that rap group. And she made a name for herself, and she proved herself worthy enough to be in that male-dominated atmosphere. She had a string of hits with Junior Mafia. She did some collaborations. She finally came out with her own debut album, Hardcore. And this is where it set off this whole new explosion, this whole new era of female rap, female empowerment, and just the freedom to explore sexuality without being judged or without being too shy from it as a female rapper. Of course, who could forget that Hardcore poster? One could say in the black community and beyond, Little Kim was the beauty standard. She was a brown-skinned girl that was pretty, petite, and provocative, but she also had rapping talent. She also had a commanding stage presence. Cruise control. Nothing make a woman feel better than I'm a vet and I'm a vet. The girl ain't a freak like me. She just had an aura about her that made her so popular.
The way I come off is what makes me so different than other rappers. So it's like everyone sees that. A lot of times they're looking for, you know, what I'm gonna have on. And a lot of times they're also looking for a bigger person. When they see me, it's like, that's Little Kim.
However, in about 2004, Little Kim had to have her first surgeries to reconstruct her nose after an ex-boyfriend broke it. He abused her so much, so viciously, that he broke her nose. Not only that, but she had to get it done multiple times after he broke it multiple times.
Oh my God.
The abuse got so bad that she even had blood clots in her back. She had to have MRIs and they found blood clots. This is how much abuse, physical abuse, and mental abuse that she faced with this ex-boyfriend. She had so many bruises from these altercations with this ex that she used to go around saying it was allergic reactions and trying to make up excuses. You know, the cliche thing you see in movies and TV. Lil' Kim is actually dealing with this. You know, behind the fun personality and the outfits and the glitz and glamour, this is what Lil' Kim was dealing with in her relationship with this guy. And she decided, you know what, instead of covering up with makeup so much every day, because you know that makes it worse, that could make her skin break out, she just decided to permanently change it through cosmetic surgery. But then some could say it got out of hand. Because not only did Lil' Kim deal with abuse from that relationship, with other relationships with other men, she also talked about how they always left her for a European looking woman with the long hair. Because, you know, so many people's eyes, back then in the 90s, it was even worse. But now, you know, people are waking up to it. But it's still a thing where the European beauty standard is held at the highest regard. That's like the pinnacle of beauty. You know, the blonde hair, lighter skin, different color eyes that are not dark brown. That was the beauty standard. That's the kind of woman that her ex-boyfriends would leave her for. This happened multiple times. Lil' Kim at one point was like, what is beauty? Am I beautiful? She had this misconception of what beauty was, seeing the kind of girls and women her ex-boyfriends would leave her for, on top of the abuse she would face in these different relationships. Even with Biggie, even with her own father, because she once stated her first form of mental and verbal abuse came from her own father.
The lowest is what? 0.
And just as a side note, when it comes to different things like the way you perceive yourself and the way you can develop body dysmorphia, a lot of this starts from childhood. And like I'm gonna talk about if I do a Michael Jackson video, a lot of the things Michael Jackson's father would say to him about his nose, that affected him in his adult teenage years. Lil' Kim talked about how her father would talk down on her. That affected her when she got older. And even if you look at programs like My 600 Pound Life, where you see people that's like morbidly obese, and a lot of people judge, how did they get that big? Oh, I can never.
Okay, let's just try it again! You bunch of bastards!
Just like the same sentiment of, oh, why did Lil' Kim change her face so much? Oh, what happened? This all starts from childhood and traumatic experiences that they dealt with. Some that most of us hear about, but we never experience ourselves to know the effects of it.
You think you know, you have no idea.
So with this mindset that, you know, European looking woman with the longer hair, wore the beauty standard, this is what all her boyfriends were going for. Lil' Kim had this mindset of, am I not beautiful enough? Am I not good enough? And in one interview, if you read about it, she even once stated how she didn't know how she could compete as a regular looking black girl. And when you say that, you'd be like, what do you mean? Y'all know what I mean. Regular looking black girl, basically meaning like the darker skinned girl, brown skinned girl, where it's like, to some, I talk about this all the time, like colorism within the black community and beyond, but specifically in this case, where lighter skinned women are seen as a beauty standard. They're seen as more desirable, especially if you have lighter eyes and lighter hair and you have certain facial features that are closer to the European beauty standard. They're seen as more exotic looking, you know, better arm candy. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Sometimes.
Always?
Not always, no. Sometimes. That means sometimes.
And when it comes to the different types of abuse that Lil' Kim had to deal with, Biggie was also somebody that verbally, physically abused her. One time it said he pulled out a gun on her. He used to talk to her any kind of way. As most of us know, if some don't, I'm about to tell y'all, Lil' Kim was with Biggie, but Biggie was cheating on Lil' Kim with Charlie Baltimore and Faith Evans. And not only was he cheating on Lil' Kim with Faith Evans, he married Faith Evans while they were still together.
You talking about class? You got a lot of nerve.
And when I talk about the beauty standard, right? How did Faith Evans look? How did Charlie Baltimore look? Charlie Baltimore was a female rapper. She was a lighter skinned woman. And Faith Evans, what was Faith Evans' aesthetic? You know, she was an R&B artist in the 90s, 2000s. Faith Evans was a lighter skinned black woman. And her aesthetic at that time was the blonde hair. Now remember I talked about the beauty standard and how the European beauty standard is what Lil' Kim kept seeing as what most men were going for, even her own boyfriends. So to see she was with Biggie, they were a power couple, you know, but then in some ways she wasn't good enough to marry. He married Faith Evans. All of this weighs heavily on her. The late 2000s, the 2010s, and you can see the Lil' Kim's physical appearance, facial appearance is getting more drastically different. Her skin is getting lighter, you know, her eyes looking different, cheekbones, jawline, a lot of things are looking different. And there's many videos about that on here, and they even contacted surgeons to assume what kind of surgeries Lil' Kim got. Some say she lined her skin with skin bleaching. She got Botox injections and all kind of different things. Now you have the surgical enhancements, and some of the pictures she wear blonde wigs. So a lot of people put that together like, oh, she's trying to look more European. She's trying to appease to that European beauty standard that she felt was always better because that's what her boyfriends and that's what men in the industry were going for. In the late 2000s, there was even some controversy when Naturi Naughton from 3LW and Power was slated to play her in the biopic of Biggie's life. And Lil' Kim had a problem with it, but most people chalked it up to her just being offended that they got a dark-skinned actress to play her because it reminded Lil' Kim of her real skin tone, and a lot of people was like, oh, she's just mad because they got a dark-skinned actress. If it was a lighter-skinned, brown-skinned actress, she wouldn't have really had a problem with it. Although this is many assumptions, a lot of people assume this. Going back to what Lil' Kim had to deal with in her relationships, what she considered a beauty standard, this may have been the case. Lil' Kim has never really came out and said why she tried to say Naturi didn't reach out to her. Naturi said she did. It's a back and forth, she say type of situation. But many have speculated she did have a problem with Naturi playing her in the Biggie movie because she was a darker skinned actress who reminded Lil' Kim of how she used to look. But that's one of the major parts of Lil' Kim's story, and like how she saw herself, her self-love, self-esteem. In some ways, Lil' Kim did love herself. She still loves herself, one can assume. But she wasn't receiving the love she should have in those relationships with the men she was dealing with, which altered her perception of what is beauty. Because like Lil' Kim said, she was a perfectionist, and she's one of those people where she look in the mirror, she'd be like, it's not done yet, it's not perfect yet. Or she used to say, people used to tell her she was cute all the time, but she didn't see it. So, okay, I need to fix this, I need to fix that. And this is a similar thing that you would see with Michael Jackson, which I'm gonna get into in his video. But another major thing that Lil' Kim had to go through is all these different feuds. You know, she even had to go through a feud with 50 Cent. 50 Cent, even as recently as like 2 years ago, used to make fun of her appearance. Oh, I liked her before the nose surgeries, or comparing how she looks to an owl, all different kind of things. You know how petty 50 Cent is. Then the whole thing with Foxy Brown, but you know, that was a part of being a female rapper, having a rap beef, all of that, right? But major feud that could have contributed to like the perception that Lil' Kim had about herself and the way she looks, maybe, is the feud she had with Nicki Minaj. And I know most of us should know about that feud with Nicki Minaj, where it seems like a lot of people said, oh, Nicki Minaj is copying Lil' Kim, or she's style jacking her, or she don't want to give her the credit. And a lot of people like to reduce Lil' Kim's influence to just colorful wigs and provocative clothes, where it's like, let's be honest, right? In the 90s, Lil' Kim made her own lane when it came to the fashion, the style, the aesthetic, the rapping ability, the rapping flow, the stage presence, all of that. Collaborating with R&B artists and other artists like Christina Aguilera, Pink, Maya, Mary J. Blige, Aaliyah. Like, Lil' Kim set a lot of trends. Lil' Kim is a blueprint that many still follow today. Now, she don't gotta be the direct influence, or Lil' Kim was my favorite rapper of all time, right? But to deny Lil' Kim's influence, to deny that she was a blueprint for how a lot of female rappers are now today, they just took the baton and ran with it, that would be an injustice to her legacy, to her influence. But in this feud with Nicki Minaj has made a lot of diss tracks towards Lil' Kim, a lot of references to her being washed up, and you know, her fans took that and ran with it. And Nicki Minaj has made it to a pop star level status. She obviously has a big fan base. Even today, 2024, Nicki Minaj fans still go at Lil' Kim and still pick at her about her appearance and how she's washed up and oh this, oh that.
Trust me, I know that. But anyway.
Those of us that are real fans of the music, real fans of hip hop, rap, just real music connoisseurs, people that enjoy music, you cannot deny Lil' Kim's influence and her status and her legacy and all that she's done for female rap, just hip hop in general. So this was just a video giving backstory to why Lil' Kim's appearance may have changed over the last 25 plus years, because sometimes that overshadows her legacy and what she did for female rap and just music in general, where her legacy is almost being reduced to wearing colorful wigs and, you know, being a provocative rapper from the 90s that's washed up, that's hating on Nicki Minaj because Nicki Minaj is popular and she's not, and oh, she got all these surgeries because oh, she was trying to appease to a European beauty standard. But it goes deeper than that. Lil' Kim has went through a lot. Before she's Lil' Kim, before she's a celebrity, she's Kimberly Denise Jones. She's a woman that went through a lot of traumatic experiences in her childhood, in her adulthood, her teenage relationships, throughout her career, behind closed doors, you know, like many women. But the thing with Lil' Kim is she took those experiences and she opened up her own organized charity called Lil' Kim Cares, where she gives back to neglected children and abused women and homeless people. So Lil' Kim took her own traumatic experiences and she always tries to help others. And if you see Lil' Kim on social media or in like some reality TV shows that she's done, she always has this positive spirit and aura about herself. She could be a negative person with what she went through and how people still talk badly about her and how people reminisce on how great and beautiful she used to look, but she carries herself with such a positivity where it's like, wow, that's commendable. So with that being said, before we judge people, before we judge celebrities about looking crazy, looking so different, let's try to learn or know about the backstory, because there's always a backstory with why something is the way it is or why someone is the way they are now compared to 10, 15, 20 years ago. And with that, to end on a more fun note, what is your favorite Lil' Kim album? What is your favorite Lil' Kim song, music video, collaboration? Like, let's really big up Lil' Kim in the comments, talk about her influence, her legacy, and what is your favorite project from Lil' Kim? At the end of the day, I also wanted to add that Lil' Kim is an icon, she's a legend, she's a trendsetter, and she's the blueprint. She should be respected regardless of what she decides to do with her own body. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all in the next video.